The day I found out, I actually threw up. God, it's so wrong on so many levels. And it actually strikes fear in me that somehow, someday, somewhere, that will get out.
So, Joan Rivers' death was initially brushed off as a, quote, routine medical mishap. But her daughter Melissa is now pulling back the curtain so many years after her initial lawsuit against the doctors who attended to her and the hospital in which she died.
In my opinion, it was 100% preventable.
What could they have done right off the bat to prevent this?
How about paying attention to the vital signs?
What I'm hearing now is that allegedly, Joan's death has so much to do with how she wasn't afraid to speak her mind. And we also know that there's one name that always pops up when we talk about her sudden death. Yep, the Obamas. And we also know why, because of what Joan exposed about them literally a couple of days before she died.
Miss Rivers, how are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited.
Okay.
And I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay. She does the...
Child, I've even seen reports claiming that Joan Rivers made a list of people that she did not want to attend her funeral before she passed. And that list included former First Lady Michelle Obama. Now here's the question no one wants to ask. Why did she allegedly say that Michelle should not attend her funeral? Did Joan Rivers really die from a simple surgery gone wrong? Or was her sudden death a silencing? Were the Obamas somehow tied to the secrets she exposed? Did she actually have tangible receipts? Okay, just for a bit of background on who she was, Joan Rivers was born in 1933 to middle-class Russian Jewish immigrants, and she grew up in Westchester County and attended Barnard College, where she studied English literature and anthropology. After graduating, she worked as a buyer in a department store where she met her first husband. The marriage was short-lived, ending in an annulment after 6 months. She was also a mom to her daughter Melissa and a loving wife to second husband Edgar Rosenberg, who tragically took his own life in 1987. As far as her career, she started off as a serious actress on Broadway before clawing her way up through the male-dominated stand-up scene. She got her big break in 1965 thanks to The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, but she fell out with the legendary host after she decided to stake out on her own, eventually landing That Show with Joan Rivers in 1968. Of course, Joan Rivers then became one of the hardest working stars in Hollywood, with 14 books, reality shows, jewelry lines, a documentary, and of course, The Fashion Police. Now, on August 28, 2014, she went into cardiac arrest after undergoing a laryngoscopy at an outpatient surgery center in Manhattan. She was transported to Mount Sinai Hospital, where she was put on life support for several days, but she died on September 4th, 2014, at the age of 81. The findings of the initial investigation found that Joan had died from a lack of oxygen to her brain, and that there was nothing inherently suspicious about that. In fact, the report cited therapeutic complications.
My phone rang. It was about a little before 7. My mom's number, whatever the office number comes up, and I'm thinking, God, this woman has got to learn to add and subtract by 3, which she was never very good at. And I'm like, oh, and I answer the phone, and it's her assistant, and she said, I don't know what, she's crying, and she said, I don't know what to tell you, your mother stopped breathing. I don't know what to tell you, we're on our way to the hospital.
But the following year, Melissa filed a lawsuit against the Yorkville Endoscopy Center, claiming that the doctors performed a biopsy that her mom had not consented to, and that they failed to realize that she was losing oxygen until it was too late. She had reportedly consented to an endoscopy, but not a biopsy. But despite that, when Joan's personal ear, nose, and throat doctor asked to do the unsanctioned procedure, the clinic allowed it. So it was during the biopsy that Joan's vocal cords went into spasm and she stopped breathing. The complaint also alleged that 2 of the doctors took a selfie with her while she was unconscious on the operating table, with Melissa saying that the level of medical mismanagement, incompetency, disrespect, and outrageous behavior was shocking and, frankly, almost incomprehensible. What was even worse was that the lead anesthesiologist in Joan Rivers' botched clinic visit, which led to her death, had been the target of a medical malpractice lawsuit back in 2005 for dispensing anesthesia during an epidural to a mother in an inadequate manner at at a Bronx hospital where the descendant died while undergoing a C-section delivery. Based on reports, the Bronx Lebanon Hospital settled the case out of court for a reported $7 million. Well, Melissa also ended up settling out of court, and she shared that despite not going to trial, she was satisfied knowing the people responsible had taken accountability for what they'd done. Based on what Melissa said, those culpable for her death had accepted responsibility for their actions quickly and without equivocation. Now, it's worth noting that in the immediate aftermath of Joan's 2014 death, no autopsy was done because Melissa had requested that it not be carried out in keeping with Jewish law. Essentially, that meant the investigation was based on a less invasive examination as well as information supplied by the clinic's documents for their procedures. Because of this, ever since then, there's been speculation bubbling under the surface that there's probably more we don't know, and that allegedly the Obamas themselves could have had a hand in silencing Joan. Remember, Joan was one of the few comedians bold enough to publicly expose Barack and Michelle with those shocking comments that went viral. What happened was that she was asked by a photographer if she believed the United States would ever see the first gay or female president. Her response was typical Rivers. She was like, "We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down. You know Michelle is a trans." When the reporter asked her to confirm what she said, Rivers said, "A transgender. We all know." Child, we know that that wasn't the first time that Joan had said something weird about the Obamas, but we also know that whatever she said was also not new. I mean, there's that guy, Larry Sinclair, and how he has said for over a decade that he hooked up with Barack more than once.
I was on a night out, had asked a limo driver if he knew anyone that would be interested in showing me around the town, and it was clear for the limo driver that I was looking for someone to enjoy the night with. The introduction was made through the limo driver.
And what happened?
We had a few drinks. I had made some comments about Warner, so we got in the limo and left, and we started drinking. I started snorting. He started smoking. I actually put my hand on his knee and started to rub up his thigh, and I performed Barack Obama.
In addition, as far as the allegations about Barack being on the DL, there's also a letter that has been making rounds that Barack wrote to his ex-girlfriend, Alex McNear, saying that he made love to men every day in the imagination. He wrote, "In regard to homosexuality, I must say that I believe this is an attempt to remove oneself from the present, a refusal, perhaps, to perpetuate the endless farce of earthly life. You see, I make love to men daily, but in the imagination. My mind is androgynous to a great extent, and I hope to make it more so until I can think in terms of people, not women as opposed to men. But in returning to the body, I see that I have been made a man, and physically in life, I choose to accept that contingency." So again, it's not like Joan was the only one making these allegations. About Michelle, someone like Deanna Lorraine also made alarming speculations when she tweeted, "Michelle Obama is releasing a documentary on Netflix called Becoming. I wonder what she's becoming." Stu Peters also wrote some time back, "Barack doesn't have children, and he definitely didn't have them with Michelle. Martin Nesbitt and Anita Blanchard are Sasha and Malia Obama's real parents. Nesbitt is also the chairman of the Obama Foundation. In addition, there have also been receipts suggesting that Michelle Obama was registered to vote as a man from 1994 until 2008, according to documents allegedly obtained from the Illinois State Board of Elections. Allegedly, Michelle officially changed her gender to female in 2008, the same year her husband was running for the presidency. Oh, we also had Dr. Rafael Espinanzo, who was entrusted with former First Lady Michelle Obama's care during the 2008 presidential election. And apparently, Dr. Rafael said quite a bit as well. Now, I personally cannot confirm the doctor's words, but he allegedly said, "I know what I saw. Michelle Obama is not a woman who used to be a man. Michelle Obama is just a man with breast implants and a huge shaving bill. On the campaign trail, no medical staff were allowed to go near her other than to take vitals if she got sick, which she never did. I know what I know because I walked in on him, while he was taking a leak standing up in a bathroom in Trenton. They paid me millions for my silence, but after seeing what they did to this country, I just can't keep quiet. Let them sue me." There have actually been so many other notable people who have made similar claims. And let's not forget how people have always pointed out how over the years, Barack Obama mistakenly called Michelle Michael or Mike during a couple speeches and interviews. And I'm not talking about this happening a few times, y'all.
Distinguished guests, and men and women of the finest military in the world. And most of all, Admiral Mullen, Deborah. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's
Keep the noise levels up.
Want to make sure he knows we're coming, or she.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if she's got some cubs, that's when you really got to worry.
Yeah. You know what my kids asked me? They said, you've got to ask the president, does anything scare him?
You know, well, when when Michelle's mad, I get worried.
But here's the million-dollar question. Why is it that even though plenty of people over the years have made wild allegations about the Obamas, Joan Rivers was the one who ended up dead under such bizarre circumstances? Is it because she actually had real, tangible proof of the allegations she made? And here's the part that almost feels like a scene straight out of a Hollywood thriller. Allegedly, before Joan Rivers passed, she actually made a list of people she did not want showing up at her funeral. And guess who was on that list? None other than First Lady Michelle Obama. I mean, if Joan was really sitting on hard evidence, that would explain why her sudden death felt way too convenient. Now, with her daughter reportedly speaking out and hinting at details beyond the lawsuit, people are starting to whisper that Melissa may finally be ready to expose exactly what her mother knew. And if that comes out, it could change everything. Honestly, when you think about just how powerful the Obamas are, people can't help but wonder, was this really a tragic accident, or did someone very high up want Joan gone? Well, if word on the street is anything to go by, we may actually get the deets from her daughter Melissa. But until then, let me know what you think about her sudden death in the comments section below.